Hiya! Pre-recorded Whisper again! And I am here to talk about some fun things. Mostly pre-patch. Fingers crossed that this video isn't outdated. If it is, I'll upload it in the comments maybe, or you won't see this video at all. But I'm here to talk about raid stuff for pre-patch. Now, our single target builds have changed a little bit. I want to go over some of the changes and why it is we do what we do. So, first off, no talent tree here in the middle for hero talents. They aren't available during pre-patch, just as a friendly reminder. And then this looks fairly familiar to everyone, but there is two big changes. First off, no dance, so we have to get rid of these points. And the second thing is welcome back, Bone Spike, my beloved. So, let's go over it. What are the changes, and why are they changing? So, first off, Kingsbane kind of set off all of this. Want to make that front and center. Kingsbane being nerfed set off a domino effect of everything. So, if you don't know how Kingsbane works in Season 3 and Season 4 of Dragonflight, each time you apply lethal poison, Kingsbane ramps up by 20%. Right now, that cap is... Well, right now, as in Dragonflight, that cap is 1,980%, or 99 stacks. With the release of Prepatch and 11.0, Kingsbane has been nerfed to only have a maximum cap of 50 stacks. It did get a little bit of a buff as a compensation, but it is an overall nerf. And the other problem is because of Night Stalker getting removed and Shadow Dance getting removed, Kingsbane now no longer gets the 10% from Night Stalker that we used to enjoy for free. All that together has made Kingsbane a little bit weaker than before, and that set off a lot of things. So, because Kingsbane's now weaker, and we don't have Shadow Dance, Master Assassin's looking not great anymore. It's still playable, but it is a lot weaker and not mandatory in the same way that it was in Dragonflight. So, because of this, we have to get rid of the points somewhere. And if I get rid of these points for a second here, you'll see that I need to spend 1 point here to open the gate. Actually, it's 2 points, right? So, first point, improved poisons is about on par with the rest of these options. Vicious Venoms kind of sucks. It's undertuned. Twist the Knife also sucks. Doesn't do anything of value. So you're really left with either this utility choice, which doesn't do damage, which we don't take, or a Fan of Knives point. Now, of course, you can go these 2 points and then go into something like this, but this is a raid video, and we're talking about raid, and in general in raid, you won't be taking Crimson Tempest. So that leaves us with 3 options. We either take Improved Poisons, Doomblade, or Master Assassin. Right? We have 2 points to fill. So, in general, in raid, you'll be doing something like this. And now, because we're automatically taking Doomblade already, Bone Spike becomes a 1-point talent. Whereas before, we used to do this, and now, with the gate open, Doomblade is just a point investment that we don't want to make. But, now that we're taking it anyways, Bone Spike becomes really good, and you just build the rest of the tree as normal, and you end up with this. Now, the question is, why not take Dashing? With our gear level, it's simply not needed, and Bone Spike is just more damage. As simple as. The other thing is, because there's no Shadow Dance and no Night Stalker, these points are kind of bad. So we're back to taking Echoing Reprimand. There is an argument to be made for taking Cold Blood like this. You would just macro this into your Mutilate and cast it completely on cooldown. I don't personally recommend this. It is a damage loss, but if you super duper duper hate Echoing Reprimand, this is something you can do. Just don't blame me when you're not, parsing 95s. For this choice node, Reverberation, really bad, still not playable. You have to play Resounding Clarity, it's just simply better. Echoing Reprimand on Assassination doesn't do a lot of damage, so there's no point in taking additional damage. We just want the combo points. And now, the last remaining question is Improved Ambush or Tight Spender. Tight Spender, again, we don't need the energy right now, and the additional combo points from Blindside here synergize pretty well, even after the nerf. So Improved Ambush is kind of the way to go. Tight Spender is very close. You can play Tight Spender if you want, but in general, I would suggest Improved Ambush for the target. So, bigger meta discussion. Why does Subterfuge and Without a Trace suck? Shadow Dance really good. Why not take more stealth? I thought Improved Garrote really good. Here's the thing, they changed a lot of the stealth talents, right? So Shrouded Suffocation, this Garrote damage, a lot of people are still confused by this. The Garrote damage increased by 20% is completely passive. It does not require stealth. That is just free Garrote damage every single time on every Garrote. So this is not stealth required. The only thing you get from being in stealth is the 2 additional combo points. And this is linked directly to Improved Garrote. There's actually a bug where you can't, if you take Shrouded without Improved Garrote, Shrouded just doesn't give you combo points. Because they are coded together, they are linked in code. So, with Improved Garrote now being 6 seconds, and Carnage also being 6 seconds, right? All of these things have kind of added up to where Subterfuge doesn't do anything, right? If I take Subterfuge and Without a Trace by doing something like this, abilities and combat benefits requiring stealth remain active for 6 seconds after stealth breaks. This is not after Improved Garrote runs out, this is after stealth breaks. And this is already 6 seconds after stealth breaks, and this is already 6 seconds after stealth breaks. And Iron Wire is 6 seconds after stealth breaks. The only thing that isn't is Master Assassin. So, Subterfuge here doesn't do anything for our Garrotes, doesn't do anything for our bleed spreading. The only thing it does is give 3 additional seconds on Master Assassin, which is a talent we do not take. So, we have random utility point that doesn't really do anything, because we're not gaining Shadow Dance anymore, so this is a pretty weak heal. Then we have Subterfuge being 6 seconds. Doesn't do anything because all of our stuff's already 6 seconds. And then we have 1 additional charge on Vanish. Now, here's the thing about additional charge. Additional charges are only good when you can line it up with something, right? Take, for example, a good node that gives us an additional charge. Lightweight Shiv. First of all, it just gives a passive damage increase, so that already has baseline value. But the additional charge here is really strong because Kingsbane is happening every minute, and Shiv baseline is a 30-second cooldown. So by getting an additional charge, we can now line up both Shiv charges with our 1-minute cooldown on Kingsbane and not lose anything, and we just increase the value of both Shiv casts, right? That's the important part here. By holding Shiv, we've increased its value. So, take as a comparison, Vanish. 2-minute cooldown, right? So now we have an additional charge. What does Vanish normally line up with? Deathmark, also a 2-minute cooldown. Having an additional charge here doesn't make it line up with anything extra, right? It's only Garrote damage now. We're not taking it for Master Assassin. It doesn't buff Kingsbane in any way. So we're only taking it to line up our bleed with Deathmark so that it can get duplicated. And it already does that. It does that without any alterations. It's just 2 minutes. Job done. So we're casting it on cooldown already, and it already lines up with everything we want it to line up with. Whereas with Shiv, it wouldn't, right? 30 seconds doesn't line up with a minute. You'd be casting 1 bad Shiv. So what's the point of having an additional charge? Well, for Assassination, there isn't one. Like, plain and simple, this doesn't provide anything. Which is why we don't take this. Just not a point that we want, and not a point that does anything. So, even if this was any good, we'd still be stuck behind these 3 points of bad talents, and then we'd have to be taking another bad talent. So, this right side here, completely dead in the water. You'd never play this. So that's kind of the thing for raids. If you have some cleave, and this is covered in the pre-patch guide, which should already be out by the time this video's out. The way I like to describe it is there's a sliding scale of AoE, right? So if you're trying to take AoE, there's a scale that you slide up and down on depending on how much AoE you want. Step 1, this is kind of the only thing I'd suggest for raids, is you just take Caustic Spatter. For 99% of situations in raid, if you need AoE, you just swap to Caustic Spatter, call it a day, good enough, right? You cleave a couple of Garrotes, cleave a couple of Ruptures, if necessary, good to go. The other thing that you can do is you can take Carnage by dropping something like Bone Spike, right? You could also go like this if you so chose, but I would suggest still keeping Shrouded Suffocation. So I would do something like this. This is good, for example, on the Council of Dreams in Amir Drasil. On 2 targets, it is technically worth using Carnage, especially if you have 3 or more, right? So stuff like the Council fight in Vault of the Incarnates. Carnage would be really good on this. Additionally, right, we'd be looking at 4 targets in that situation. We get to the next evolution of single target and AoE. Next AoE is we drop, I need to take points out here. We drop Improved Poisons and Doomblade now to take Crimson Tempest and Throne Precision. Right, so this is still the single target tree, except you're taking Caustic Spatter over Internal Bleeding. You dropped Bone Spike for Carnage, and then you dropped Doomblade and Improved Poisons in order to take Crimson Tempest. Crimson Tempest, during pre-patch, is used on 4 targets. In the next expansion, after we lose the tier set bonus, it will be used on 3. But for right now, it's still 4 targets. So this is applicable for something like Dathia platforms if you super need it, or the Council fight in Vault, as mentioned before. And then from here, you can't really go any further into AoE, especially for raid, and that's going to be mostly M+ stuff. This is sort of the end game of raid AoE. Anything more would be a huge damage loss. So as a recap then in total, this is sort of what we're playing with in raids. You can have a little bit of adjustment here. Again, Echoing Reprimand, if you hate it, I'm sorry. And play Cold Blood would be a little bit of a loss. Same thing with Improved Ambush and Tight Spender. This is a smaller loss. This is basically negligible. Kingsbane's still good, rotationally, still everything the same. No issues there, just some couple tweaks, slight changes, and a little bit of a talent shuffle. If you have questions, as always, let me know in the comments. I will be reading them, even though I am currently on vacation. And, yeah. Have a good one. Bye, ya.